Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is a Friday edition of So What? First off, I just want to make sure everyone is hearing me because, as some of you know, on Tuesday, we had a major audio fumble and no one could hear me and I couldn't hear anyone else. My comments were not working. So we just decided to end the broadcast and I did some troubleshooting. So here we are on a special Friday edition of So What, where I will be going over the project that I wanted to present to you on Tuesday. So for all of you who tuned in on Tuesday, I apologize for the problem. I had disconnected my microphone inadvertently. I didn't even know what was going on. So yay, everyone can hear me. I appreciate you coming in. Okay, so I hope you're all having a great Friday, a great start to your weekend. And what I'm going to show you today is a great weekend project. It makes a wonderful gift idea, especially this time of year, because, it feels like summer, right? Finally, it feels like summer. And we're getting those hotter temperatures and kids are heading outside to the beach and the lake and the pool. And these little towels that I'm going to show you are great for bath time, but also great to take on any of those excursions where you're going to be out in the water. We can personalize the towels so the kids always know which one is theirs. And it's just great to wrap up in, especially if you're headed out to the pool and then you have to get in the car to go home. My kids love a little hooded towel that keeps them, from getting chilly and also protects the car seat while you're on your way home. So we will go into the tutorial momentarily, but first I wanted to let you know, thankfully, our summer sewing sale is still in effect until tomorrow at midnight. So you can get great deals on some of the products that I'm going to be talking about today. Poly Deco is the thread that I used for the towel embroidery, and I prefer it for anything that's going to withstand a lot of washings, be out in the sun, that type of thing. So that's why I use it for almost all of my towel projects. That is 30% off right now, all Poly Deco. Also, KK2000 is at a great deal. If you need to stock up on your temporary spray adhesive, now is definitely the time to do it because this is the best price you're going to get, folks. Also, wash away stabilizers, which are really great for toppers for towel projects. Now, the tutorial I'm going to go over today, I'm actually not using a topper. But if you wanted to add additional embroideries along the terry cloth portion of the towel, as opposed to just the hood, which I'm going to show you today, then you will need a topper. And I recommend Sulky Solvy. Just the regular Solvy. There are 3 different weights of Solvy stabilizers in the Sulky line. Original Solvy is what you want to use for toweling. There's also Ultra Solvy and Super Solvy. Ultra Solvy is great for in the hoop projects where you want the stabilizer to be removed completely. Super Solvy is really thick stabilizer, will support a lot of stitches. Let's say you're making a patch and it's all out of thread. Excuse me, I thought I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so pardon me. Super Solvy is great for things like freestanding lace, for patches that are made out of thread entirely, right? So it will support all of the dense thread that you're using and then wash away entirely when your project is complete. So this is the sale going on right now. Keep this in mind. You don't need a coupon code. All these items are already marked at their sale price at sulky.com. So really easy to just fill up your cart with what we're going to talk about today. Now, speaking of Poly Deco, I thought this would be a great giveaway for today's So What, because it is our neon sampler pack. all of these great neon colors, which just remind me of summer so much. So this is a 6-pack of Poly Deco. It's on sale right now, just over $13 on sale. Regular price is $18.99. So that is a great deal for all of these fun threads. You can use them for embroidery, you can use them for top stitching, you can use them for decorative details on your projects. You can even use it for construction. I like to use Poly Deco when I'm making bag projects because it's a 40 weight thread and it's nice and strong, and it has those great shiny shimmery colors. So this is our giveaway today. For anyone who's commenting, liking, sharing today's post, you will be automatically eligible for today's giftie. I will announce it tomorrow, or I'll try to announce it tomorrow. I just realized tomorrow is Saturday. Or I'll give everybody the weekend to participate in today's So What, and then we will pick a winner on Monday. I will notify you through Facebook Messenger. So if you get a random request from Ellen March, that probably means you are the winner. All right, enough about that. Super fun thread pack. Another thing I want to address before we get into the hooded towel tutorial is our Dini pouch summer sewing session. This is going on right now at sewingonline.sulky.com. This is our very first long format education opportunity. It's a virtual event. All of the content is available on demand for you to navigate through at your leisure. So there are videos, there are posts, there are tips, techniques, tricks, working your way through this brand new exclusive pattern that we collaborated on with Sally Tomato. We love working with Sally Tomato, and this is just another really great pattern that you will learn a lot by making this. You will learn how to embroider and sew faux leather, which can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you can get buckling and things like that with faux leather, but as you can see, these designs stitch out beautifully. You will learn about working with Sulky Poly Sparkle thread, which is a 30 weight thread that is a polyester thread, but it has flecks of metallic running through it. So it gives a nice sparkle and sort of touch of glam to these great little pouches. The pouch comes in 2 sizes, so you can choose which size you would like to make. There's the wallet size and the carrier size. The wallet size is also really great for holding a phone inside. You could see my phone fits with a little room to spare. So if you have, my phone is an iPhone 10. If you have one of those fancy iPhone 12s, it will also fit. It has mesh pockets on the inside and elastic so that you can fit lots of fun stuff in your little pouch. So you can see your phone fits, and then you can put some cash or your cards on the other side. So it also has this wraparound zipper. You're going to learn how to make that happen seamlessly so you don't have any weird bubbling on either corner. So really great course. And I wanted to mention, we did have a couple of hiccups launching the course. Now, just with anything and, technology being what it is, we prepared. I mean, I think I worked on this course for almost 6 months, putting it together, making sure we, had the great videos from Sally Tomato. There's just so much to prepare to make sure that this is a top-notch course for you all. So when we launched, there was an email that was supposed to deploy letting everyone know that the course had launched or been active, and that email didn't happen. So I apologize that didn't go out, but we tried to notify everyone that it was in fact ready to go. Then we had some issues with the kits. Some of the kits had an elastic piece that was about 1 inch or so too short, and some of the kits were missing a piece of stabilizer, the heavy stabilizer that supports the Dini pouch. So all of that has been remedied. We held on to any kits that were ordered after we noticed the discrepancy. So those will all be shipped, no problems. Anyone who hasn't received a kit, your kit should be complete with all the materials that you need. So I really appreciate everyone reaching out after we posted an alert about the course, saying that they, got the message. They appreciate that we are remedying the problem. So I really, really appreciate everyone's support and kind words as we worked through this mistake or these mistakes. So all that being said, it really is a state-of-the-art virtual education opportunity. You can still sign up. You will get the pattern included with your registration fee. And it's just a really great time. We also have a Dini pouch community, which is kind of similar to a Facebook page. So you can interact with other people who are taking the course. You can post pictures of your progress, just like you would post something to Facebook. And the Sulky team, myself included, we are always in the community, interacting with you all, making sure that you're having the best experience. So it really is fun. We're going to do a few more of these. I have them in the works. I really, really love the format of this virtual education experience. So yes, and it is available forever. Good point. This is in your library at sewingonline.sulky.com forever. So you can always access the pattern, the embroidery designs we added as a bonus for everyone's inconvenience for not getting their email and such. So you will also get these embroidery design files with purchase of the session. So yay for the Dini pouch. All right. So on to the task at hand today. The cute little hooded towel. These are brand new blanks that we have available at sulky.com. So when you're getting all of your great sale items, be sure to pick up some hooded towels. They make great gifts, like I said. They come in loads of colors. We've got this pink one. We have a blue one that I'll be doing a little demo on here for you shortly. There's a gray one, a green one. Have I said them all? They have this cute polka dot. And what I really love about it is on this hood, it is covered or lined rather, not lined, it's coated with a cotton fabric. So that is why we don't really need a topper for our thread to sit atop the fabric surface. When you're embroidering on traditional terry cloth, you need to use a topper so that your thread doesn't sink into those terry cloth fibers when you're doing embroidery. If you've ever tried embroidering a towel without using a topper, you might know what I'm talking about, because all those furry little terry fibers will kind of conceal all of that beautiful thread work, and you don't get a clean, crisp design when you're finished. When you use a topper, it sits atop of that, and the topper actually washes away afterwards, and the threads sit nicely and proudly on top of your work. So since this has a cotton sort of coating, I can't think of another word to say for it, we don't need to use a topper at all. Now that being said, in order to hoop this, which, oh my gosh, is Isla the cutest thing you've ever seen? Love her. I gifted her this so that she would be my little model, and just look how happy and excited she is to wear it. She's already worn it to the pool. She absolutely loves it and loves that it has her name on it, especially because her mom tells me, she never finds anything that has her name on it. Those little license plates for your bikes and little coffee cups and things like that, little keychains when they go on vacation, they never find an Isla. So this is so exciting for her to have a little hooded towel with her name on it. It's super special. So we are not going to put this towel in the hoop because hooping terry cloth items or super bulky or items that have a high pile to them, they can be marred by the hooping process, or they are too thick to be hooped tautly enough to accept the machine embroidery. So what we are going to do is what I call hoopless machine embroidery. Yes, we are still using a hoop, but we are not hooping the actual fabric or the actual item that we are embroidering. We are only hooping the stabilizer. So for this, I am using the Sulky Sticky Plus stabilizer, which is a paper-backed adhesive stabilizer. It tears away completely when embroidery is complete as well. So this already has a sticky backing to it that we will stick that little hood part to so that it is essentially hooped without being hooped. Hopefully that makes sense to all of you. Let me know with a thumbs up if that makes sense to everyone. Okay, you can also, if you don't happen to have the Sticky Plus or a sticky backed stabilizer, which I highly recommend, it is my favorite stabilizer in the Sulky line. If you don't have that and you have the Sulky Tear Easy, a different tearaway stabilizer that doesn't have a sticky backing, you can use the KK2000 on sale right now. And you can make your tearaway stabilizer a sticky stabilizer with the use of the KK2000. So you would hoop the tearaway only and then spray it and then stick your item to the stabilizer once this is applied. Now this is a temporary spray adhesive. If you have a different brand of spray adhesive, make sure it's temporary. The thing I like about this one is it's air soluble. It's the most eco-friendly basting spray or temporary spray that you can find on the market. It looks like a smaller can than what you would find, let's say they were all on the shelf together, but there's less air in this can. So you're actually getting quite a bit of product in here. Don't let your eyes fool you by the size of the can. So that's the way to make a sort of standard stabilizer into a sticky stabilizer. But like I mentioned, I highly recommend the Sticky Plus. You're not going to have any overspray that might get on your hoop and have to clean up any messes like that if, you know, like I said, if you have overspray on your workstation. So the other tool you see in this image is the Sulky Sticky Plus Slitting Pen. This is the tool that we recommend that you use to score the paper backing on your stabilizer. It has a very sharp point to it. See that? Let's put it against there. It has a very sharp point to it, but with slight pressure, it only goes through that paper backing, not through the stabilizer as well. If you're used to using a pin or a semi-sharp or dull scissors to score your paper on the stabilizer, then you know the plight of accidentally going through all the way and slicing through the stabilizer as well. When that happens, you either have to do a patch job with more stabilizer, or you have to completely rehoop your stabilizer and start again. So that becomes very wasteful and quite frustrating. If you use the slitting pen, this is relatively inexpensive. It's about $6.99, I think, at sulky.com. You don't run the risk of slicing through the stabilizer as well. Now, of course, you absolutely could. If you have this on your cutting mat and you really go to town with your slitting pen, you probably could also go through the stabilizer, but just a gentle pressure is all you need. The other thing I like about the slitting pen is you can run it along those grid lines on the stabilizer, and you don't have to go along the outer hoop edge. A lot of the times when you're using a pin, you kind of go along the outer hoop edge and remove all the paper from within your hoop. With the slitting pen, you can run it along those lines, and then you end up with some grid lines that you can use to position your piece. So it becomes very helpful for proper placement. You do have to make sure that when you're hooping the stabilizer, you line up those grid lines so that they are straight from top to bottom and side to side. Otherwise, if you're using the grid lines and it's not hooped straight, then obviously your design isn't going to be straight either. But it can be a very helpful placement tool. As you can see here, I left a little bit along the edge of my hoop and along the top and bottom so that I could use that to perfectly place my little hood in the hoop. So let me make sure that there are no questions. Just got that tool. I love it. It is really, really great. The trick is always knowing where you put it. All right. Lots of people loving the KK2000. Barb wants to know, will the KK build up on your hoop if it gets sprayed on? So it is air soluble. If you can leave your hoop alone for 24 to 48 hours, most of it, or in my experience, all of it will kind of dissipate. But if you go touching it, if your fabric gets on it, if there's any fuzz or lint or something that gets on the hoop that you have sprayed, you will need to remove it with a product like Goo Gone or something like that. So keep that in mind. You can also create like a spray shield. I have seen people take about a 4 or 5 inch strip of cardboard and kind of put it in a little circle and spray inside of it. That way it doesn't overspray onto your hoop or onto any materials that you have on your workstation. Marilyn says, does the paper backing stay or wash away? I probably answered this with this part of the tutorial. You score the paper backing and then tear it away to reveal the adhesive stabilizer. All right. We may be caught up with questions, but keep them coming. I'll do some more Q&A as we move along. All right, so now that we have our stabilizer in the hoop, it's time to get our hood onto the sticky stabilizer. And, you know, actually I'm getting a little ahead of myself because we need to put our design in the machine so that we know what size hoop to use and all of that good stuff. So let me just switch cameras here. I'm going to show you how to kind of build a name or monogram using your built-in lettering, and then we'll get into hooping the towel. Now, I am going to use a built-in font. Let me just switch my cameras here. And hear me? Can everyone still hear me? Okay. I am going to use a built-in font. Now, let me get my machine going here. There we go. So this is a great time to play with built-in fonts on your machine. They probably come in multiple sizes. Now, this portion of the hood is where I'm going to be embroidering along that lower edge so that you can really see the name. Now, you only have this amount of space on the hood. And I did link to the full post where I explain how wide this hood is and what kind of size you have for your embroidery. You might have extra size or extra room to put a little motif. So in the post, in the description of today's live post, excuse me, I'm hitting the camera, you will find all of that great information. So you can head on over to the Sulky blog and figure out what size of hood this is so that you can pick the proper font size. Now, if you have a super long name like Alexandria or something like that, you'll need to go with a smaller size font for obvious reasons because it needs to fit along that lower edge of the hood. Or you could just do a monogram if you have a really long name that you're working with and, you know, format it like that on your machine screen. So for this one, I'm going to go with, let's see, I'm going to go with like a kid-friendly looking font, like the Swirl font. And I'm working on a Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 2. So I have a couple of kitty looking fonts that I can choose from. You could do an applique design and bring in another color fabric if you want. I'm going to go with this swirl font, and you can see it asks me to program the embroidery text. So I'm going to go with Rider, and I'm just going to spell his name here. And you can see now I have a red line around my hoop. That's telling me that I no longer fit in this particular hoop. So I'm actually just going to rotate the name so that it fits along the other side. So we will be going vertically instead of horizontally, and make sure the way that you want to hoop your towel is the way that you have oriented your name and or monogram and or design, okay? You could go down your font size. You could slightly, make the name slightly smaller. You could go down 20%. But here we go. I'm just going to rotate the name 90 degrees and make sure that I'm going to orient my towel in this way. And actually, I have all this room along the top of the little corner point of the towel. So maybe I'll add a little cute motif to this as well. Oftentimes I don't use built-in designs because I find so many that I love online. But there are great built-in designs on your machine. Lots of machines come with tons of design options. For Rider, I'm probably going to choose maybe something sports related, maybe a little fun little monster motif. Here we go. So this one's pretty cute. I'm going to add that to the design, this little monster for Rider. So now I need to move his name down to accommodate my little monster. And then I will rotate my monster so that I have enough room between him and the name. And so that'll fit quite nicely along the top of my towel. So I actually noticed I still have this in a rather large hoop, but I'll fix that later. Let's see what the monster looks like a little bit rotated. That's kind of cute. Or I can just go straight on. I like that too. And I can get a little bit closer to the name. So, and of course, if you have embroidery software, you can really go to town and make something truly unique. And size up or down your name or your design, and make sure that your stitch count is following suit when you are enlarging or making things smaller. So now it looks like everything's going to fit nicely according to my measurements along my hood. So let me go ahead and look at my hoop size. All right, so I am in the larger size hoop, and I have already hooped my stabilizer in my 260 by 200. So I am going to make sure that I go ahead and change my hoop side and size and make sure that my design is still going to fit in it. And you can see that it is too large. So I need to make some adjustments here. I'm going to make my name even smaller. And make my monster, my monster is already as small as he will go to embroider safely, which is why my machine's not letting me do it. But there we go. Still looks great. And now I know it's going to fit within the hoop that I intended. And I'm just going to make sure that I line everything up properly and center it all in my hoop. There we go. Just making a few adjustments. This is, this is what I think is part of the fun, is we're really creating our own design here. And the important thing is to check and double check and triple check that everything is placed properly. So if I know everything is centered within that hoop, then I can hoop my hood and, exactly know what I'm doing. So let me go ahead and switch cameras here. Just a moment, got my correct hoop. And I'm going to go back to my images here and show you the hooping process. So with a lot of blanks, and I saw some people coming in saying, well, we can just make this with our own towel and add a little fabric to it. You certainly can do that. The beautiful thing about this blank is it's made with machine embroidery in mind. So our hood is wide enough that we can basically turn it inside out and adhere it to that stabilizer. It's also, this cotton is backed with that terry cloth. So when you put it on your child's head and they're completely wet from the pool or the bath, this terry cloth lining inside of the hood is going to absorb that water, without it going through. So keep that in mind. It's also bound with the same nice cotton fabric. So these are relatively inexpensive. It's a nice lightweight terry. If you wanted to make your own towel, by all means. But I find embroidery blanks super quick and easy. You can grab one in so many colors and have one for each grandkid, each kid. They all know which towel is theirs, and yet they all coordinate. So it's kind of fun. At any rate, where was I going with this? So hooping our hood. So we're actually going to turn it wrong side out, and we're going to stick the terry cloth portion onto our sticky stabilizer. So it's much easier for me to show you a photo of this process because I could really get in there. It's more difficult to show you the inside of a hood on camera. So here I have turned the hood inside out, and I just realized when I was building my rider font and my rider design, I had the design oriented the opposite way. So you would put your towel on so that your towel hood triangle is facing the other direction. So sorry for the confusion there. I just realized I did it backwards in the photos. Okay, so this one would have the design going the other way. And you can see I have my little grid line on my sticky stabilizer on the paper portion that I've left intact. That is allowing me to line up the top and the bottom of my hood, and then that center through line according to that little center notch right there of my inner hoop ring. So I align my hood, making sure that everything is nice and straight. And then you can see here's my Isla design. It's oriented the other way because my hood is hooped that way. I have a little motif on either end of the name, and it's ready to go. So I did also want to mention that if you have this function on your embroidery machine where you can baste around the design prior to the design starting, that does two things. Firstly, it allows you to see if you have properly placed your hood in the hoop. When you baste around the design, I have mine positioned pretty closely to that lower edge binding seam. So when I stitch out my basting line, I can see if it is straight along that binding stitching line. If it's not, then I can remove the basting stitches, reposition the hood, and then do my basting stitch again and make sure that everything is nice and straight. Because honestly, there's nothing worse than taking your hood off and noticing that the name is going this way instead of straight across the forehead. So that's another great placement tool. It also further secures your hood in the hoop. So if you have any reservations, or especially if you're using KK or another basting spray instead of the Sticky Plus stabilizer, the basting stitches will make sure everything is hooped and nice and flat and ready to accept the embroidery. So I also wanted to mention thread choice. Now, like I said, I like poly deco for anything that is going to be washed a lot, going to be in the sun. It's bleachable, it's color fast, it's nice and shiny and shimmery, and comes in beautiful colors. So I have sort of a problem. I need a support group because oftentimes I go into my thread stash and I go to pick a color that matches my fabric almost exactly, especially if I'm doing a name or a monogram. With something like this, especially with a little bit of print, even this little polka dot, the thread can totally get lost if it matches your fabric exactly. So you can see that I went with a pink, but in a much brighter, darker color than the towel itself, so that my thread could really be the star and really pop out, and you could read Isla really, really nicely. So go with a contrasting color or go with a complementary color in the same family, but a little bit brighter or a little bit darker. So here you can see my basting line. It is almost right up against that binding, and that's exactly where I wanted the design positioned. But like I said, if you do your basting line and you notice that it's a little off, you can always easily rip out the basting stitches, keep your item on the stabilizer, remove the hoop, don't keep your item on the stabilizer because we have to reposition it. That's the great thing about the Sticky Plus is that you can easily lift up the project, move it to where it needs to go, put it back down, and then continue your embroidery. If you find that you've positioned it too many times, maybe it's not sticking like you want it to, you can always give it a little shot of KK2000 just to make sure that it's sticky enough. But once you add those basting stitches, like I said, it will be nice and flat for embroidery, even if it's lost a tad bit of its stickiness. All right, so then you begin the embroidery. Now, since we are embroidering the hood inside out, you're going to have a little bit of bulk from the towel. So don't be afraid to move it slightly out of the way and just kind of hold it with your hand there. Make sure your hand and fingers are well away from the needle and the movement of the needle and all of, the guts right there that's doing the work. I don't really recommend sort of pinning it away, but you could certainly try using your Clover Wonder clips, which we also have at sulky.com, or some binder clips to kind of move that bulk away. The reason I don't really like to do that with a hood like this is because for one portion of the design, you may have bulk down here that you're moving away. Then when you get to the opposite end of your name, you may have a different sort of bulk happening down there. So you will need to move your towel away from the start of your design. And then as the hoop advances, you'll need to move it away from a different part of the design. So by that, I mean, if you've clipped a certain area and then your needle goes to stitch out the end of the name or a little design motif on the other end, you'll have to stop your machine, move all of your clips, and then start your machine again, which is completely fine. You just have to be cognizant of that and be right next to your machine watching it stitch out so that you can manipulate and move your towel bulk as you move through the design. All right. So here you can see I have to move my towel away from the end of my design, or that little part up there is going to get caught in the stitching. So that's what I'm talking about as far as, we're kind of embroidering in a little tunnel, if you will. And this is the case with a lot of embroidery blanks. However, very easy, very, you get it and go. So it's a great summer project when you don't really want to spend all that much time in your sewing room. You want to get outdoors, you want to do activities. So this is a great gift idea that you don't have to spend all of that time making the towel itself, but you still get to personalize it. You still get to put your stamp on it. And like I said, you could add like an applique design and bring in another fabric element to it. It makes it look even more kind of handmade. All right, so then it is time to remove all of those basting stitches. I like to use a little pair of squeezy snips for all of my jump threads and basting stitches. Now you want to be sure to also remove your jump threads from the project wrong side. I like to do this while the item is still in the hoop or, suspended in the hoop, because it just gives you greater, access to those jump threads. Plus the stabilizer is still intact and everything is nice and flat and taut, so you can get in there and clip all of your jump threads. We also have these little squeezy snips at sulky.com. If you don't have a pair like this, relatively inexpensive, add it to your cart while you're getting all of the other great sale items. Okay, so another important thing about removing the stabilizer from the back, here I'm showing my little squeezy snips, getting all of those threads, is you get a much cleaner end result when you tear away your stabilizer. If you were to leave all of these jump threads intact and try to tear away your stabilizer from behind, you will get a bunch of stabilizer that does not want to come away. And you'll have to get in there with tweezers or your fingernails and try to pick out all of that stabilizer. So just be sure to remove your jump threads from behind the work. And here you could see I was able to remove that stabilizer so cleanly from the back of the design. Now in between, in the little triangle of the A, I did have to go in there and be a little bit more careful and tear away that little portion of stabilizer. So keep that in mind too when you're choosing a design for this. If you have a design that has lots of little open areas, you're going to have to go in there and remove that stabilizer. And since we are talking about something that has little terry cloth loops, you want to be very ginger when you want to gingerly remove the stabilizer in those portions so that you don't accidentally rip out or snag those terry cloth loops. So if you get a little corner away using tweezers or even your snips with them closed, get a little corner started and then just rip it cleanly away. The trouble or the snags come when you try to rip multiple sections, then they kind of want to come with the stabilizer. So keep that in mind. You could also use a wash away stabilizer to do your entire embroidery. You could use the Sulky Ultra Solvy, which has a lot of weight to it. I talked about it at the top of today's episode. And you spray the stabilizer with the KK2000. Yes, it's a wash away stabilizer, but the spray does not make the Ultra Solvy dissolve. So it will give you that tacky surface that you need. And then when your embroidery is complete, you will wash away the stabilizer, and then you won't have any stabilizer bits to contend with or to try to tear away. So if that is a concern for you, or if you want to use a design that's more intricate and has more open areas, then maybe consider getting the Ultra Solvy stabilizer and hooping that and doing your hoopless embroidery techniques. That's just an alternative. But as you can see, mine tore away rather cleanly and looks really great on the wrong side as well. So just like that, our cute little towel is finished. I should mention that bracelet I'm wearing, I absolutely love. It is a wrist ruler bracelet. Shameless plug, am I right? We have these at sulky.com and I absolutely love mine. Wear it all the time. But anyways, this is our cute little finished towel. And you can see how if you wanted to add another motif on top of the name or monogram, there's plenty of space to do so. And you can fit your little monster or a little motif that speaks to the child you're making this for. And again, There's Isla. This is when I first gave her the towel, and she, like I said, could there be a cuter kid right now? Just love her. Okay. Oh, so cute. Her little belly sticking out. I just love it. All right, I'm going to address some of the questions that have come in because we're getting quite a bit. And Heather says, I'm clipping jump threads as I am watching. You're right, it's easier in the hoop. It is easier to do when your item is still hooped and when the stabilizer is still intact as well. So, okay. Linda says, do you recommend removing the jump threads from the back before the front or front and then the back? Honestly, I don't think it matters. I believe for this project, I did the front, then I turned everything over and did the back. I don't think it matters what order you want to do it in. I will say, if you're working on a design that has lots of different colors, lots of jump threads, my recommendation would be to do a color stop and then actually remove the hoop from the machine. Keep your item intact, but remove the hoop from the machine, turn it over, clip those jump threads, put everything back on, change your thread color, and repeat the process. That way, when you go to remove jump threads from the wrong side, you don't have jump threads that are getting caught in the stitching of other thread colors. That just makes everything much easier or much more difficult to clip away and make for a clean tearaway once your embroidery is complete. I know it adds a little bit of time. It becomes a little tedious to do it that way, but it really pays off in the end when you're removing the stabilizer. So I always recommend to clip jump threads with each color change. And then when you are working on something where the wrong side could be visible or could get caught by use, let's say it's a pocket and you're sticking your hand in, or like this, it's a hood that you're putting over your head, I always recommend clip the top jump threads, then remove the hoop, clip the back ones, and then continue on with the embroidery. Okay. Marilyn says, one of those big grabby spring hair clips works great to keep the towel out of the way. That's a great tip. Thank you so much. I will say, again, if you are clipping away your excess toweling, you will need to stop your machine at a certain point and move your clip so that you're kind of working your way along the towel, making sure everything's out of the way. Because with something like this, yes, it looks pretty wide, but you still, you can't clip all of the portions away from the hood together. Does that make sense? You have to kind of move with the design as it's moving. Coral says, I need to look for the basting function on my machine. Yes, grab up your, my chair got caught. Always consult your machine manual and make sure you look for these special functions. When I was first getting to know my machine, I would put certain things that I knew I was going to use all the time on a sticky note and put it by that button or that function on the machine so that I could be like, go here, here, here for these particular things that I know I'm going to use all the time. And that way it got ingrained in my brain so I could kind of train myself to use those particular functions. Now, there are still things I don't know how to do on this machine and still things that I learn all the time. And people here on the So What tell me, hey, did you know your machine could do this? And again, the sticky note goes on the machine so that I can kind of remind myself and train myself to learn that for future projects. All right. Ooh, another thing I wanted to mention. When you're doing the baste and the hoop function, and I did put this in the tutorial, the full tutorial which is linked in the description of today's post. If you're not seeing it, be sure to click that See More button so the entire description of the post comes up. There you will see the link to the blog post where the full tutorial for this hooded towel lives. But I did want to mention you can also do the basting function through just the stabilizer before you put your item on. Now, yes, you will be stitching through the sticky stabilizer, and sometimes people get nervous. Is my needle going to get sticky? That type of thing. I always start a project with a brand new needle. When you're doing that and you're using a brand new needle, the probability that you're going to have sticky residue on the needle is extremely low. I find it's a great placement tool to actually do your basting stitch on the stabilizer, then place your hood over those basting stitches. Then you can run the basting again to secure your hood in place. That way you don't have to rip out any stitches if you do have to readjust your towel. So that's just another option. But if stitching through that sticky surface makes you nervous, then do it the way that I instructed. You can also get a product at sulky.com. I have it right here. It is called Sewer's Aid. Sewer's Aid is a little lubricant. You can actually put a tiny bit on your fingertip, run it along your needle, and then sew over your sticky stabilizer, and you will have no sticky residue on the needle. This is also great for sewing with metallic thread. You can put a little bit on the needle eye when you're passing your thread through, and it will last through like an entire metallic stitch out. This stuff is really, really great, inexpensive. It's at sulky.com as well. So, Eileen wants to know, what site do you get the towels from? Sulky.com. We've got the pink ones, the blue ones, the gray ones, the green ones. There are also matching bibs. If you want to make a really great gift for a newborn or a new mom, you can grab up a towel. You can get a matching bib. You can make a little matching set. And this towel will last from baby on to about 4 years old. So it's a really great gift idea for a new mom. You could package that up really cutely with, a little sun hat or something like that. All right, a few questions about particular machine brands. I will say I recommend that you reach out to your particular machine brand if you have a specific question about functionality that is not in your manual. Here at Sulky, obviously we do not make machines. We try to test everything on a few different types of machines, but there are so many out there, so many brands, so many models, so many years of machines. So there are going to be nuances with everyone's equipment. So if you have a specific question about your particular model, make or model or year of machine, reach out to the manufacturer. On their websites, they have, contact us things. Some of them even have live chat where you can get an answer really quickly. They have great education teams that you can interact with. I highly recommend using those resources for those questions. Marilyn says, what happens to the sticky stabilizer that is behind the hood? Does the stabilizer stay there or leave? So again, Marilyn, sorry, I probably answered that already with the tutorial, but it tears away when your embroidery is complete. So it's really great. It's like it was never there. Okay. Should I use the automatic feature to cut my jump stitches? This might be a machine-specific question. You can keep your auto thread cutter on. Sometimes it depends on the design you've used. Sometimes there will still be jump stitches, and a lot of the times there will always be jump stitches along the wrong side, even if you're using your auto thread cutter function on your machine. So it's going to depend on that, but I would do a test stitch, and if that auto thread cutter creates a little knot or something on the wrong side of your embroidery, just check it out and turn it around and see if you like that and see if it's concealed enough for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Are there special needles for working with sticky? So for this project, you could use a top stitch or an embroidery needle. We also have anti-glue embroidery needles, and lots of people like working with those when they do a lot of hoopless embroidery. I sometimes will just use a little bit of sewer's aid, and I'll use a standard 80-12 top stitch or even a 90-14 embroidery needle for this, for something with these dense stitches and going through that terry cloth. But if you find that your needle is gumming up, first off, change the needle. It may be an old needle, maybe it has residue or lint or a burr or something like that that is causing other problems or buildup, something like that. But I definitely would say try the embroidery anti-glue needles. You will not be disappointed. They're quite nice. All right. Jenny says, great idea. Thank you so much. And oh, Dini, so cute. My granddaughter will be making her appearance this Monday. I'm currently embroidering some quilts and onesies. So yes, bib and towel blanks. Such a cute idea. All right. Marilyn needs the sewer's aid. Add that to your cart. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed. Oh, Donna wants to know, what font is that? So the font is called, and again, it's a built-in font on the Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 2. So I have to adjust my machine again. It is called, Swirl. It's the Swirl font. I'm not sure if you can buy it separately on the Husqvarna Viking website. A lot of the times with their built-in designs, they're also available on my Sewnet, things like that. So, but I highly suggest check out the built-in designs on your machine. You'll probably find one that looks kind of kid-friendly that you can use, and just size it according to the dimensions that I put in the full tutorial. All right. And yes, Isla is adorable. You can definitely see that she loves it. All right. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed. Again, we have a great sale going on right now, the summer sewing sale. All of these great products are on sale until tomorrow at midnight. Our Poly Deco thread line, KK2000, and wash away stabilizers. So grab those up when you are creating your kit, when you're compiling your order today. Also wanted to mention that we have our next free webcast coming up very soon. I'm going to be talking about this next week on our regularly scheduled So What. It is called Hexies in the Hoop, and our special guest is Xandra Shaw of the Embroider Shop. So come with your questions for Xandra. Make sure you register for this webcast. It is not a Facebook Live. It is a webcast on our education platform, which is sewingonline.sulky.com. Create your account, register for the webcast. It is free to attend, and Xandra is providing a free lace embroidery design for all registrants. So you'll get to try out her lovely lace designs and get a PDF tutorial for how to use them. And during the webcast, we will be learning how to compile different hexagon designs as in the hoop appliques, and then embellish them further with little cute bees and cute little sayings. And we've got inspiration for a number of different projects you can create using this great design collection. So we've got a great kit for this webcast. It is on sale already. It's only $29.99 for a great little kit, and it includes that poly sparkle thread that I was talking about at the top of today's episode. So register for Hexies in the Hoop. We will get that will be next Tuesday, the 8th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when we will be going live with Xandra. So she's a great educator. I know you will love her teaching style. So be sure to tune in for that. Get your registration, get your kit ordered, get all ready for us. And we will be doing that next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this special Friday edition of So What. Thank you all for tuning in today, and I will see you next time.